Well, hello and good evening. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and how are you all today? You got here just in time to join me in a Yingling. Well, not really. I mean, I know I just turned the camera on when I was going to have one. So if you want to have one with me, hit it on pause, go grab one of your favorites, and come back and join me. I'm going to talk tonight about surviving the Rampage, surviving a riot. If you've paid attention to what's going on in the world, you see that the long hot summer has begun. There's rioting all over the place. The cities are burning. I've talked about it a little before. We're going to talk about it more tonight. I'm going to share with you a little information about how to survive one. A couple of announcements. First, tomorrow night, Thursday, on was that the 20th? Yes, Thursday, April 20th. I'm going to be with Lee over on the Cold War Prepper channel. Cold War Prepper channel is Lee's channel. It's a great channel. He's a great guy. He is retired military intelligence, sharp guy, really caring guy. He's one of those who really tries to help people, and has some great information. If you're not with him, you should be, and I hope that you will join me over there. Let's get as many of the Stonemonters as we can to join over there tomorrow night. He'll be asking me questions. What he's doing is that he has reviewed all of my books not all, he's reviewed the first 5. And tomorrow night he's going to be reviewing the 6th. The 6th one, Hostages to Fortune. I haven't been able to make it on with him until now. I've either been out of town or had things going on. It's a busy time of year for me, and I've been looking forward to it quite a bit. And so tomorrow, and he does a great job. I have enjoyed, whether I've been out of town or wherever, I've always tried to catch the show, and I've really enjoyed how he does it. I think he does a better review of my books than I do, and he's got one of those minds that zeroes in on the things that, to be honest, most people don't, and a writer hopes that people will, and he does. And so I am really looking forward to that. Tomorrow night, April 20, at 8:00 p.m. That's 2,000 hours for those of you who speak 100 hours, okay? So hang on half a second. Kelly's walking up, see if she needs to tell me something. Okay, I'm back. So that's tomorrow night, Thursday night, April 20, 2023, 2,000 hours, or 8:00 p.m. Okay. The other thing, I just got a big load of books in today. Been waiting on them. We had sold out. So all of you folks who are waiting, if you've ordered and waiting on your orders, the order came in today, and those will be going out tomorrow. Got them all. The series, the Stonemont series, the Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom. And the latest one we'll be reviewing tomorrow night. Lee will be in, and we'll be talking about, he'll be asking me questions. You all can ask me questions if you'd like. Hostages to Fortune. It looks like, as I just saw the orders that have come in the last few days, it looks like we might have sold this last bunch out. So I'm putting in another order for those. Don't worry. I'll put a rush on them. We'll get them as fast as we can, and as soon as they come in, I get them right. I know I need to order bigger bunches. I ordered a bunch. I ordered a lot. I thought that was going to be enough. But with the new website, in addition to what I get in the mail and all that, it's just exploding. The website, if you want to know, it is stonemont.us. You can order all the books off of there, and the t-shirts will be up pretty soon. Okay, now to the important business of tonight. I got to take a drink. I know that I swallow loud. Can't do anything about it. Riots. Most of you are probably familiar with by now the shooting in Kansas City, just up north of the river, of a young man named Ralph Yarl. And he was shot by an elderly man 84-year-old man named, I forget, his last name is Lester. Okay. The information that has been put out publicly so far, and I don't know any more than's been put out publicly. I just use my experience, to kind of fill in whatever cracks I think there might be. They charged him. He turned himself in. He is bonded out. It's now causing a bunch of commotion in the city. The young man, Ralph Yarl, thankfully he didn't die. He's going to be out of I think he's already out of the hospital. And they say they expect him to have a full recovery. But that doesn't matter to people. What matters to people is that Ralph Yarl was black and Lester was white. And so naturally it's got to be a racial thing, right? There's a lot that goes into this that I could make a case for. If I was the defense attorney, I think I could get Lester off. But that's not the issue. The issue is there are people in this world who are bound and determined to make these issues turn violent. And last night there was a protest downtown Kansas City that they already had the signs made up. Indict him now. Bring this racist, attempted murderer to justice. Okay? They don't know anything about this man, but because he's white, he's racist. Now, most normal people, this doesn't have any effect on. Black or white, it doesn't make any difference. Brown, green, orange, I don't care. Normal people don't react to this. The ignorant people in our society react to this, and the people who make money and get their influence out of this know that, and so they're going to push it. Doesn't matter that normal people don't think this way. What matters is that the fringes do. Okay, and so it is starting. And if you all saw what happened in Chicago, was it last night or the night before, whatever, to where hundreds and hundreds of young people went down and just tore the hell out of downtown, rioting. Okay, their idiotic mayor Lori Lightfoot said it was most of the young people came down to enjoy the city. Hell, they came down to riot. They came down to raise hell. Did you all happen to see the video? It's over on our Patreon channel of the white girl. I say that because it seemed to matter to the crowd who was beating the snot out of her, to where she was just swarmed with a bunch of people and they just beat the snot out of her. Okay, she could have been killed. I think she's all right, but these are the kinds of things. And you tell me that wasn't racial. That was racial, and those are racists who did that. Okay. There was another one. I've put that up over on the Patreon site too. By the way, for those of you who are on Patreon, I know Bob put some stuff up today. Don't miss it on the community section. If you're on the Patreon channel and you don't go to the community section, you're missing out on a lot. Make sure you go to the community section, and if you're not with us on Patreon, you're missing out on a lot too. Come on over. Link is down below. The reality of the situation is that most people here have never been in a riot, never even seen a riot personally. You might have seen it on TV. I remember, and I've referred to it before, the riots of 1968 in Kansas City, the summer that Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and it was right in the middle of, the protests against the Vietnam War and all that, and this city and cities across the country just got lit up, and innocent people got hurt and killed all over the place, and it is shaping up to happen again. Now the important thing is, what do you need to do? Hopefully stay out of there, stay away from those parts of town to where these things happen. Many people are just too hard-headed or stupid to stay out of those parts of town. They refuse to realize that there are certain areas that are more dangerous than others. Here's where the people will jump in and say, get out of the cities. You shouldn't live in the cities. You shouldn't live in the suburbs. You should live out here in the country with me. Well, some of us prefer. I'm glad that you prefer to live in the country, Country is a beautiful place. I don't really like living in the country, I'll be honest with you, and most of us don't. That's why we live in the suburbs. But those of us who live in the suburbs, many of the people work downtown, or they go downtown for entertainment, or whatever. And in this time, now whether the area you're going to is safe or not, if you have to pass through areas that are not necessarily safe, even in the best of times, I'd suggest you curtail your travel. So the first thing to do is stay away from the places to where you think these things can erupt. In Kansas City, there was an area, since the 1930s or 40s, I don't know, it's been one of the great entertainment districts in Kansas City. I just kicked the tripod. I got to reset it. It's called the Country Club Plaza. All the upscale stores were there. And my parents used to go down there on dates. I used to go down there on dates. I took Kelly down there on dates. I talk about it in one of my books. It was a beautiful place of Kansas City. 10 or 15 years ago, the same kind of people who went down and raised hell in Chicago the other night started taking over the plaza. It became dangerous for people to go to. At first, most people didn't want to admit that it was dangerous, and they had this attitude of, well, I'm not going to let people keep me from going there. Well, do what you want, but a lot of people got robbed and beat up and raped and such as that, and killed over it, okay? So stay out of those places. Realize that, again, as we always say, you are responsible for your own safety. You need to have some kind of understanding of what happens in a real rampage situation. And since most people don't really have an idea what happens, you are dealing with a collective mindset that goes past any kind of individual human empathy and takes over a groupthink, a animalistic groupthink of destruction. That's what happened to that young girl, the young white girl who was beaten mercilessly by a large group of black people. Why do I say that? Oh my gosh, Steve, I can't believe you said that. Well, every time a black person is shot by a white person, isn't that all we hear? I'm going to say it. I don't care if it's racial, if it's racist. Damn it, it's time we addressed it and recognized it as such. Do I think that most black people are like that? Absolutely not. I don't know any like that, and I know a lot of black people. I have black friends, and none of them are like that, okay? But the thing is, there are a lot proven by what we see in the news and the crime statistics who are. So stay out of those areas and realize that you are not dealing with the world as you know it, okay? You go into a foreign environment. That's why I talk about the city being a jungle. I did one on Patreon not long ago about why small town people and country people a lot of times get victimized in the cities. This is not the world you know. Stay out of it, okay? Now, what if you get tied up in this? First off, keep your wits about you. If you're on a date or you're down, someplace having dinner, don't be, doing all googly eyes at each other while you're driving or at a stoplight. Watch around. You are in a threatening environment. Watch what's going on. Do you see something going on up a couple of blocks up that looks like traffic is backing up? Don't go up there. Don't drive up there and hope that you get through pretty soon. You may not get through until you're out of the emergency room, okay? Take the next right or left. Get out of there. Go around there. Know how to get from where you are to where you need to be a number of different ways. Okay. Secondly, have a weapon. Always have a weapon. You should always have a firearm with you in your car and on you. Because if deadly force comes against you, you have to make the decision as to whether you want to use deadly force. A lot of things go into that decision. I'm not going to cover them here. That's really up to you. And I do cover some of that stuff on Patreon. If you want to hear about it, you should be with us there. If you get stuck in a crowd and they stop you, try not to let them stop your car. Now, most people will stop because these groups, they'll get up on your hood, they'll start jumping up on your hood and on your roof and getting in front of you, and the average person doesn't want to hurt anybody, okay? So they'll stop, and they won't know what to do, but they don't want to run over anybody, so they'll stop. And sometimes, you know, that's going to be up to you. I say for the most part, don't stop, but I understand nobody wants to run over some kid, you know, and kill him, because now you've got extra problems, not to mention the moral consequences of it. Stay in your car. Don't try to get out of the car. Don't roll down your window and try to say, hey, we just want to get out of here. Please let us go. Don't act like a victim. Please let us go. We're not doing anything to you. We just came down to have dinner. Won't you let us? Cry out loud. Don't do that. Stay in your car. Okay. Get on your phone. Call 911. If the cops say we can't get there, hell, call in a fire. Okay, there's an explosion. You don't have to tell them it's about to happen in my car. That'll get the fire department coming, and the fire department's coming, then the police are coming. Too often, sadly, in these cities, the police departments have stopped showing up. Why? I told you several years ago they're going to stop showing up because the cities don't back them up. And because the cities didn't back them up, the cops stopped showing up. Most of the good ones left. The ones that are remaining trying to live out their retirement, they're not going to take any chances. And as a result, the cities get more and more dangerous with fewer and fewer cops. Okay, so that means it's dangerous for you. I would suggest that you have a blanket in your car. Always have a blanket in your car. If they start beating on your windows, put a blanket up over your heads so that when they bust in that glass, it doesn't bust in on your head. Okay? Have weapons in your car. And I mean not just firearms, because there might be, maybe you can't bring yourself to use a firearm. Have stabbing weapons. I don't care if it's a barbecue fork. You know, that's one of the best things. We got big 4-foot barbecue forks that I love, you know. Have one of those in your car so when they're trying to reach in, you're just poking them. You know, keep them out of your car. Do not let them drag you out of your car. While you're in your car, as long as it's not on fire, you're in the safest place you can be. Hopefully, your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, whatever, will assist in this. They need to be stabbing on their side of the car. And I don't mean weenie. I mean you keep them out. That is the place that you're safest. You get dragged out of your car, and you can kiss it goodbye. You are at the mercy of what that crowd wants to do to you. And you can end up dead, you can end up just hurt, or you can end up brain damaged. Do you all remember Reginald Denny? You can end up brain damaged. If you're walking along the street, all of a sudden one of these things happens, hopefully you have a weapon. I understand not wanting to use a firearm against unarmed people because it can be tricky. If you're in the wrong jurisdiction, you know, you shoot somebody, it'll clear the crowd out, I'll guarantee you. But if you shoot somebody, you might go to jail, prison actually, or at least it's going to cost you a lot of money. If you're going to use a firearm, what I would suggest is you don't shoot at any person. You shoot at, you know, don't shoot at the sidewalk. It's going to ricochet and hit somebody. If you can shoot, and up in the air is problematic too, because if it goes up, it's got to come down. Your chances of hitting anybody coming down are not good, but it does happen. Okay, if you can see something like a tree, or some wood, the wooden facade of a building, shoot it into something that's going to catch that bullet. The sound of a gun, 2 or 3 pops. Have you ever seen one of these big street protests and all of a sudden somebody shoots a gun? They all disappear like rats. Okay, that's one thing. Now don't anybody do it and then show this in court and say, Steve Smith told me to do it. Crying out loud, be responsible for your own actions. But if you're saving your life, it's better to discharge the firearm at something that it won't kill than at someone who it might kill. Okay? If you have to shoot somebody, hey, it's up to you to decide that, right? Now, if you don't have a gun, you should always have weapons. You should have a knife. You should have 2 knives. You should have things, and I go through a lot of things in my environmental weapons classes that I teach, and I'm going to put some of them over on the Patreon channel. If you're not on Patreon, you should be. This is the kind of stuff you miss out on. I don't care if it's a sharpened can opener like I teach women to carry. You start ripping and zipping some people, there's going to be all sorts of screaming happening. All of a sudden, there's going to be blood, hopefully not yours, spraying all over the place. And you know what happens then? That crowd goes, whoop, okay, for the most part. Okay. No guarantee. I mean, they might just, one of them might take out a gun, and there are no guarantees. So the most dangerous thing you can do is not fight back and just hope that they will get tired of beating on you. Okay, I know a lot of people take that. They take the turtle defense. Oh, please don't hurt me. Please don't. You fighting back is one of your best, and I mean fighting like viciously, like an animal. Teeth and nails and kicks and punches and elbows and knees and trying to rip them. You go at them, and they're not going to be used to that. Okay, if you don't know how to fight, find somebody who can teach you how to fight dirty, and I mean dirty. Don't let yourself be taken to the ground if at all possible. If these things, they'll swarm you, but as long as you're up on your feet, you have more mobility than if you're on your ground. I have heard some idiotic self-defense instructors, they're kind of like a lot of firearms instructors, because some of them make it on these channels every now and spew idiocy before I dump them. Who especially tell women, go ahead and go to the ground and curl up like this because your legs are your strongest part of your body, and just kick them and make them go away. Where do you think they want you? They want you on the ground. Don't go to the ground. Stay on your feet. Fight like the dickens. Fight with everything you've got and every sharp object you've got. That's why you should, if you're walking down the street and you're drinking a beer, it should always be in a bottle, not a red Dixie cup. Okay. When these things go off, they are beyond what the average person can even imagine. And you've heard me say in previous videos, is what I used to train my people, that although attacks may happen suddenly, they rarely happen without warning. And the people who usually get attacked are those who missed the clues. Okay? And then the second thing is, when you are faced with an enemy or a crisis, you have three enemies. You have confusion, you have fear, and then you have the crisis or the attacker. And previous thinking about it, forethought, and then some training is going to remove a lot of the confusion and the fear. And then without those, the situation, your attacker or the crisis, is a lot easier to deal with if you're not doing it through a lens of confusion and fear. And right here, somebody's going to come on and thinking that they're going to help, and they'll say, always be aware of your surroundings. That is a given. Always, but I've already covered that. Always be aware of your surroundings and listen to your gut. Unless you're stupid. There's a lot of stupid people out there that said, well, I didn't think anything would happen to me. Well, those people are called victims, okay, or victims in waiting. And if nothing happens to them, it's just by luck. Don't make it through life safely by luck. Make it through on purpose. So these things are it looks like these things are gonna be heating up. Be careful. Be careful everywhere you go. I doubt any of this is going to come out to the suburbs. I doubt any of it will come to the small towns. But then a lot of people, go to the city to work, to go to concerts, to go to ball games, to all sorts of things, entertainment, to meet friends for dinner. Just be aware, and then also be aware that they could, even though they don't happen as often. The farther you get away from the center of a city, they can happen anywhere. Okay. So realize it's up to you to defend yourself. A riot or rampage is totally different than what most people think can even imagine, so start thinking about it. Watch some videos on it so you really see what happens in the minds of these people. Okay. And remember that tomorrow night, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be with Lee over on his channel, The Cold War Prepper. And it's going to be at 8 o'clock. That's tomorrow night, April 20. I have to keep reminding myself this. 2023 Cold War Prepper. And he's going to be reviewing and interviewing me about my latest book, the 6th book, Hostages to Fortune. Should be a great time. Come and bring your questions. Come and bring your comments. He says he wants to talk a little bit about Reagan. If you don't know who Reagan is, you should. Why not? You haven't read my books? You can get them down there, either through Amazon or through the Stonemont website, stonemont.us. And we're going to be talking about SHTF justice and all sorts of things. Should be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. Hope to see you there. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I will see you tomorrow on Cold War Prepper. Bye-bye.